Hello guys, welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. There is a message that I want to share with you guys, and this message, it comes from a translation of a message that I received as a WhatsApp voice note. The translation of that WhatsApp voice note reads like this. Hello brother Nashi, I am a single lady. I am aged 32. I have one child, but I got married at a young age of 15. I started dating when I was still young, when I was really young, partly because my mother was a woman of the night. So I got this inspiration from my mother. There was nowhere for me to turn to. And in our house, there was no discipline. Anyone could do whatever they saw fit. My mother, sometimes she could go for days without us knowing where she had gone to. So she would just leave us to fend off for ourselves. And this really messed me up, because even up until today, I don't even know how to do a proper budget. Because growing up, my mom was a woman. Because growing up, my mom was that kind of a woman who could not even do a proper budget, even for the basic food, for the necessities of the house. My mom used to buy everything small. Even if she wanted to buy cooking oil, she had to buy that small bottle of cooking oil that could only last for a few days. Then we had to go back to the tuck shop so that we can buy more items. This is the kind of a life that I had growing up. So I grew up around older men. This happened from a very young age, and whenever my mom will not be at home, my older sisters will then steal my mother's clients, because my mother's clients, some of them, they would come so that they can be serviced by my mother. Then my older sisters that were much mature at that time, they would steal my mother's clients and they would sleep with them for money. They would even sleep with our mother's clients in her bedroom. Our mother used to train us from a very young age how to ask for money. We used to target mainly elderly people. We would specifically target them, and we will act as if we were orphans or going around asking for food. And when the elderly would feel sorry for us, then we were supposed to bring whatever they would have given us. Most of these elderly people, they will give us money, thinking that they were assisting orphans. But our mom, she was the one who used to teach us all of these behaviors. This we did with our mother's knowledge. When I was 15, I then ran away with my mother's client, because that man had once came at my mother's house and my mother was not there. When I was speaking with that man, he then told me to get into his car. He said that he wanted to buy some items for me at the shops. Whilst we were at the shops, that is when he told me that he had fallen in love with me from the very first day that he had set his eyes on me. My brother, I ran away with my mother's client simply because he had bought for me a pork pie and a soft drink. After he had bought for me a pork pie and a soft drink, I then ran away with him. I never returned back home. I stayed with him, but later on, as we were staying together, I stole some money from him and I ran away. At that time, when I had gotten married to that man, after running away, I found another older man. Then I got married again. I don't know at that time when I ran away if I was pregnant or not. I then gave birth at the age of 16. This was when I was staying with another man who was married. Since I was still young, a lot of men used to take advantage of me. I don't know how many men I have slept with in my life. I can't even count them, because I started from a very young age. When I was pregnant, I even slept with a man whom I had just met at the shops, when I had gone to the shops so that I can buy some tomatoes. So I came across this man. Then he bought me 2 bananas, and he said that he wanted something in return. I could not resist that man. Me and him, we just went into the bushes so that I can pay him back for the 2 bananas that he had bought for me. We did this, my brother, in broad daylight. At that time, when I cheated on that older guy that I was married to, I was 6 months pregnant at that time. Whenever I think of my child, and when I think that I once cheated on my ex-husband whilst I was pregnant, I feel so sad and ashamed of myself. That man, after he had found out, he then kicked me out. My brother, I didn't have anywhere to go, and when I called my mother told me that I should not return back home since she knew that I had stolen one of her client, and her client was a well-paying client. Even though I was pregnant, she said that you are a grown-up woman, and I was still a young girl that was supposed to be in school, but my mom said that you are now grown up, you should make another plan. So I gave birth whilst I was staying in the street. Even on the day when I was discharged from the hospital, I didn't have anyone to come and collect me. I gave birth whilst I was staying in the street. At that time, I was doing whatever I could so that me and my baby can survive. Any man that was willing to give me money, I'll do anything for that money. I struggled like that until I met a certain man who was an occultist. What this man used to do was that he would come and pick me up from the street. Then he would sneak me into his house. He really had a very big house. This house, it was in a neighborhood that is called Borodale. At first, he would drag me, but as time went by, I saw what he was doing to me, and there was nothing that I could do about it, because this man, he was a married man, and whenever he would sneak me into his house there in Borodale, he would say that his wife and his kids were at home, so I should not make any sound. I was really scared of his wife because he had told me that his wife had quite a nasty behavior. What this man will do was that he had a snake which used to vomit money, but this snake was not a big snake. It was almost the same size like a millipede, but this snake was very fat like a puff adder. So this man, he would have intercourse with me, and afterwards he would quickly remove his manhood before he could ejaculate. Then he would then ejaculate all of his sperms so that the sperms can fall on that snake. Then he would rush into another room to get a very black Choni bag. This Choni bag, it was designed with a lot of beads, those beads that has a lot of colors. He would rush back into that room where I would be sleeping with a broom in another hand. Then the snake will vomit the money as he will be busy sweeping all of that money into that Choni bag. After the snake would have vomited the money, the snake would just disappear. These things happened throughout 2007. Until I finally ran away and I came to South Africa. I was really young, and as we went to cross the river so that we can get into South Africa, we were then held hostage. And when we were held hostage, we were only about 10, and I was the youngest amongst those people that I was walking with, and I was raped by 5 of the men that used to operate along the Limpopo River. Those men, they were called Guma Guma. I was then taken to a church which was in Musina, where I was taken by a non-profit organization. I was later taken to school. Since 2007, I never went back home. The next time that I tried falling in love again, I fell into the wrong hands. I am even afraid to mention the name of the church which that man used to go to. But this church, it is very popular here in South Africa. When I started staying with that man, I then saw that most of the Christian leaders, it's like they even worship the devil, because that man, the way that he used to explain the Bible to me, he said that all of the religions that are in this world, they lead back to Lucifer himself. In this church, my brother, I can see that it has made a lot of people in South Africa to lose their mind. if you try to expose them, if you try to expose some of the secrets that you would have found in that church, I think that they will make you to lose your mind. I am even scared of my ex-husband, and I am afraid of the church that he goes to. What my ex-husband used to do is that he would say some prayers for a certain person to lose their mind. By the way that you lose your mind, you don't lose your mind completely. You will still be able to go to work, live a very normal life, but it's like there's still a certain part of your mind. How do you recognize such a person? The way that you can recognize such a person is when you speak with that person, you will notice that the person is not 100% normal. Those are the prayers that you used to cast on people that were trying to expose the church. I stayed with him. This was until 2016. That is when we broke up. But even today, I am still afraid of my ex-husband. When I look at my past experiences, I can say mine was nothing but just a broken life. When we broke up, he said to me, "You will never get married again." And now, since 2016, I have tried to date, but I don't know what happens to me. I just slowly lose interest in love, such that if a man tries to touch me, I don't feel anything, as if I am being touched by another woman. Dear listeners, right there was a message that I received, and I had to ask one of our admins to give us a translation.